Konstantinos Alexandrou Karamanlis, commonly known as Kostas Karamanlis, is a Greek politician who served as Prime Minister of Greece from 2004 to 2009. He was also president of the centre-right New Democracy Party, founded by his uncle Konstantinos Karamanlis, from 1997 to 2009, and he is currently a member of the Hellenic Parliament. Karamanlis was first elected as a member of the Hellenic Parliament for New Democracy in 1989 and became president of the party in 1997. After leading the opposition in the Hellenic Parliament for 7 years and his narrow defeat in the 2000 parliamentary election, he served as the 181st Prime Minister of Greece for 2 consecutive terms, winning the 2004 election with an all-time record number of votes, and again in 2007. However, he asked for mid-term general elections in 2009. His party enjoyed a narrow parliamentary majority that could not guarantee a stable government needed to handle the Greek financial crisis. Eventually, Karamanlis was defeated and resigned as president of New Democracy after 12 years as the party's leader, being active in politics though as a member of the parliament. Political career. Kostas Karamanlis, a nephew of former Greek President Konstantinos Karamanlis, was born in Athens and studied at University of Athens Law School and at the private Dare College, continuing with postgraduate studies in the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University in the United States, where he gained a master's degree and a doctorate in political sciences, international relations and diplomatic history. Karamanlis served in New Democracy's organizational and ideological sectors from 1974 to 1979 and from 1984 to 1989. He is the author of a book, Eleftherios Venizelos and Foreign Relations of Greece, 1928-32, on the Greek politician Eleftherios Venizelos. He has also edited and prefaced various historical publications. Karamanlis was elected a New Democracy deputy for Thessaloniki in 1989, but in 2004 he was elected for Larissa. He was elected party leader in 1997 following New Democracy's defeat in the 1996 election. He defeated the ruling Pan-Hellenic Socialist movement at the 2004 elections. He served as one of the vice presidents of the European People's Party between 1999 and 2006. Karamanlis was the first Greek prime minister to be born after World War II. He married Natasha Pazaiti in 1998. They have 2 children, born on the 13th of June 2003. Prime Minister, aided by the unpopularity of the incumbent PASOK government led by Kostas Karamanlis, defeated the socialists George Andreas Papandreou in 2004. Karamanlis stated that the priorities of his government were education, economic policy, agricultural policy, lowering the high level of unemployment and a more transparent and effective state administration. Economic policy centered on tax cuts, investment incentives and market deregulation, while early problems included a large public debt and a budget deficit in excess of Eurozone stability rules. Karamanlis's government halved the budget deficit to 2.6% by 2006. Another key issue was the 2004 Summer Olympics scheduled to be held in Athens in the first year of his government. Several key buildings were unfinished at the time of the election. The security budget had increased to €970 million and authorities announced that a roof would no longer be constructed over the main swimming venue. The main Olympic stadium, the designated facility for the opening and closing ceremonies, was completed only 2 months before the Games opened, with the sliding over of a futuristic glass roof designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. Other facilities, such as the streetcar line linking the city and the airport, were largely unfinished just 2 months before the Games. The subsequent pace of preparation, however, made the rush to finish the Athens venues one of the tightest in Olympics history, and everything was finished just on time for the opening ceremony. At the end, the Games were held exactly as planned and were globally hailed as a spectacular success. Nonetheless, and as a result of the delays, large cost overruns resulted in a deficit in the national accounts above EU stipulations. The ND government and the previous administration of Kostas Karamanlis criticized each other for the messy preparations. PASOK criticized the New Democracy government for using the Olympics as a pretext to renege on promises. Under the weight of the huge costs, the deficit shot up to 5.3%. Karamanlis declared that social policy was done with borrowed cash. Military spending did not show up on the budget. Debts were created in secret. Financial audit of 2004. In March 2004, while PASOK was still in government, Eurostat refused to validate the fiscal data transmitted by the Greek government and asked for a revision, as it had done previously twice in 2002, then resulting in a revision which changed the government balance from a surplus to a deficit. A worse blow came in May 2004, when the European Commission harshly accused Greece of imprudent and sloppy fiscal policies, pointing out that since Greek economic growth had been an annual 4% in 2000 to 2003, a declining fiscal position could only be the result of government mismanagement, including concerns by the EU regarding the 103% public debt to GDP ratio which Karamanlis inherited from the previous PASOK regime. With this report the Commission effectively called into question the quality of Greek economic data, as the Eurostat had done in March. The New Democracy government under Karamanlis, elected on April of that year, decided to conduct a financial audit of the Greek economy, before sending revised data to Eurostat. The audit concluded that the PASOK administration and Prime Minister Kostas Karamanlis had falsified Greece's macroeconomic statistics, on the basis of which the European institutions accepted Greece to join the Eurozone. PASOK contested the accusations and claimed that 2006 Eurostat changes to the system of defense expenditure calculation legitimized the practices of the Kostas Karamanlis government. New Democracy responded that the defense expenditures covered by those changes constituted only a small part of much more substantial expenditures that were fraudulently concealed by the previous PASOK government. Rising unemployment and the threat of inflation undermined Karamanlis' promises to kick-start the economy and sparked strikes, especially one in 2006 by rubbish collectors, causing severe disruption in the economy, particularly the one in July 2005 at the height of the tourist season. In early 2006, it was revealed that the cellular phone of Kostas Karamanlis, as well as those of several other members of the government and officials of the armed forces, had been tapped for several months during and after the 2004 Athens Olympics. The investigation into this matter by the Greek Organization for Communications Privacy was closed with the argument that if this investigation would carry on, the information revealed would be dangerous for the national security of Greece. The government has undertaken undertaken a €210 million program to bolster broadband internet connectivity in provincial Greece, which was approved by the European Commission in 2006 with the commendation that it constituted the most ambitious broadband development program that any EU member has ever undertaken. In matters of social policy, Karamanlis's government has followed a largely liberal policy. In the spring of 2006, the Ministry of Education repealed a law continuously in effect from 1936, which required approval by the local Orthodox Christian Metropolitan for the building of non-Orthodox houses of worship. At the outset of the year, Prime Minister Karamanlis announced the initiative of his government for a new amendment to the Constitution. He stated that one of the central issues of this amendment will be the legalization of private universities in Greece, operating on a non-profit basis. Greece has for years experienced a mass exodus of educational immigrants to other countries' higher education institutions, where they move to study. This creates a chronic problem for Greece in terms of loss of capital as well as human resources, since many of those students opt to seek employment in the countries they studied after getting their degrees. Proponents of non-state-owned universities claim that the state's constitutionally mandated monopoly on higher education is responsible for these problems. Attempted changes in Greek higher education have encountered fierce opposition from the other parties, as well as from the majority of the academic community, both professors and students. An attempt to pass several changes concerning the operation of Greek universities resulted in large-scale demonstrations, amounting to tens of thousands of protesters, and, finally, the closure of most institutions by protesting students in the summer of 2006. The semester's exam period was lost and postponed for the fall, while the government shelved the changes and claimed that no bill would be put to a parliamentary vote before a more extensive dialogue has been held with students. However, without any further dialogue, the legislation passed in 2007. 2007 re-election. In the 2007 general election, Karamanlis was re-elected with a diminished majority. Following the 2007 Greek forest fires that ravaged much of western Peloponnese and southern Euboea, he pledged to continue with his reform and privatization program as well as form a new cabinet. On the 19th of September 2007, he presented a new cabinet. 2009 elections. In the 2009 general election, Karamanlis and New Democracy were voted out of the government. He stepped down on the 30th of November after elections within the New Democracy Party for the election of new party leader. Criticism. The Prime Minister came under criticism during the wildfires of 2007, with hundreds of thousands of acres burning and many deaths. The government has faced growing scrutiny for its response to the fires. In the days following the fires and the seeming lack of a substantial firefighting response adequate to stop the blazes, the government suggested the process was not natural and the work of arsonists. A group of Pakistani men has claimed that they were abducted by Greek and British intelligence agents in the wake of the 7th of July 2005 London bombings. The governments of Greece, Pakistan and Britain have denied accusations that they were involved in the alleged detention of 28 Pakistanis for several days in Athens and Ioannina after the 7th of July bombings in London. The prosecutor assigned to the case says he has no evidence of who committed the abductions, but the main opposition party PASOK has called for the resignation of Greek Public Order Minister Georgios Vougourakis. An unnamed human rights group also called for the resignation of the Prime Minister, Kostas Karamanlis, over the allegations. A number of serious scandals involving Karamanlis' closest ministers and members of his party surfaced during his term, damaging his public image severely. Karamanlis was largely elected in 2004 due to his plea to clear public life from corruption. Another criticism against Karamanlis and his cabinet involved the 2008 riots, which started after the killing of 15-year-old Alexandros Grigoropoulos by a police officer. Police said Grigoropoulos was with a company of 4 teenagers who used hard language to a few policemen by car. One officer has been charged, and Reuters noted that Greece has a tradition of violence at student rallies and firebomb attacks by anarchist groups. Amnesty International called for a speedy investigation. The death of Grigoropoulos resulted in large demonstrations and widespread riots in major Greek and foreign cities. After he left office, many in Greece continued to blame the New Democracy governments of Karamanlis for economic difficulties, and both financial markets and Greece's EU partners chastised the country for vastly underestimated budget deficits under his watch. Wiretapping Case. The wiretapping case is a major corruption issue concerning the Karamanlis years in office as Prime Minister of Greece, during and after the 2004 Summer Olympics, and was revealed in 2005. According to the investigation carried out by the anti-corruption magistrate, the wiretapping system was set up by an American secret agent to eavesdrop on top Greek government officials, and the existence of an assassination plot against Karamanlis because of his attempts to pursue closer relations with Russia, which caused the United States displeasure, is confirmed. The pressure for neutralization or even murder of Karamanlis is called the Pythias Plan, in order to stop the rapprochement between Greece and Russia in a number of crucial sectors, including the Burgas Alexandroupoli pipeline project for transportation of Russian oil to Greece, which was eventually abandoned. The case is also associated with the scandal of the Silver Drachma Plan, referring to the 2012 connections between a close aide of George Papandreou and Mexican businessman Julio Salinas Price, on Greece's exit from the Eurozone and the introduction of a Greek national currency, partly covered by silver, which would have cost Greece €70 billion.